I'm Gabe Abshire. This is Connecting the Journey. Hey, how y'all doing? Welcome back to Connecting the Journey. Connecting the Journey, the purpose of this show is as entrepreneurs, we're always looking for what's the next best thing, what's the next greatest thing, what's the shiny object that's around the corner, and very seldom do we take the time to look back at those things that got us here, right? And I think it's tough to go forward with gratitude if you don't look back to see the journey that you've taken and all the appreciation and gratitude along the way. So today I'm really excited about our guests we have on the show today via Zoom. Calling in from Virginia, Mr. Zach Hoops. We've been working with him for about 9 to 10 months. He's in the title industry, and I'm very excited to learn about his business and kind of is a family business and a lot of fun things to explore with Zach. So Zach, welcome to the show.
Gabe, thanks so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Excited to be here with you. Also in Dallas, it's a little bit of rainy and not great weather. What's the weather like in Virginia?
We got about a foot of snow over the past week, and it's cold enough that the snow is still here. Usually it melts away, but we got our proper winter snow here.
Okay, awesome. Where'd you grow up at? Did you grow up in Virginia, or where'd you grow up at?
I grew up in Virginia, just about 20 minutes south of where I'm sitting right now. And when I was younger, I wandered the hallways of the same office that I'm sitting in now. So it's been in our family for a long time.
Okay, so your dad's. This is how long has it been in the family? Family business. You've been around the business for a while. What was that like growing up around the family business?
Yeah, so founded in 1988. So we're on our 36th year. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Our 36th year. Let's see. I grew up, I worked in it in high school, worked summers. Back then, everything was on paper, and I was the paper boy just scanning all of these docs in as records started being digitized. So we still have employees actually that knew me when I was younger growing up. We still have title abstractors and title examiners who have been with us for our longest employee has been with us for 32 years. So we've been around a long time, and I've taken over the mantle over the past few years, and really excited to take the company for its journey through the next 36 years, and then hand it on to my kids.
Nice. How big is the business? How many employees, and what area do y'all operate in?
It's fluctuated up and down over the years. We're sitting at about a dozen employees right now. And we serve Virginia and Maryland, and we're expanding into West Virginia here in 2024.
Okay. And so just for folks that don't know, how many people do y'all help a month?
That depends wildly on interest rates.
Let's see. 2 years ago, how many?
So here's I'll give you these numbers. So in 2021 we opened about 3,000 files. In 2023 we opened about 500 files. That's the swing in what interest rates do to the business, but that's what it is. So we're doing about 30 to 50 closings every month.
Awesome. Well, here's hoping that those interest rates get down and we all get back to those 2020 and 2021 numbers for sure. Well, so and the businesses, did your dad start it or did his dad start it?
Yeah, no, he started it. The running joke is he got out of college and fell into title, and back then you couldn't bring your dog to work, and he had a dog that he wanted to bring to work, so he decided to open his own title company, and we've had dogs at work ever since.
Oh, that's awesome. What's his dog of choice? What's his current dog that he has?
We've been chocolate lab family through and through.
Okay, there you go. We have a Boykin Spaniel. I love labs. I wanted labs, but I couldn't handle the shedding, and so we got a Boykin Spaniel, which we love. I got him home and set him on my lap, and I just went like this, and he doesn't shed. I can't pull any hair out, so it's awesome. Well, cool. Well, look, I want to talk a little bit about the family business, but just also want to learn a little bit about you and your hobbies and things like that. But what was growing up like in the title world early on? What was that like? I thought you were going to say he couldn't bring his dog to work, so he brought his son to work, right? I mean, so it sounds like you were around the industry for a while. What was that like? What were some of the lessons you learned during that time?
That's a great question. There was for someone my age, there was so much paper back then. We actually had at our house, we had a storage shed that was just filled with documents because we had to keep records for 7 years back then. And so every closing, you kept all those documents for 7 years. And just to watch the difference between then, even 15 years ago, how much you could get done with one person because so much of it was manual versus now with technology and embracing it and building upon what you're given, the efficiency that one worker can have is absolutely astronomical. I mean, it's got to be 200 to 300% would be my guess. So I'm lucky to have been around it and kind of been in it, and that way you understand what's going on, so then you can modify it. Versus, you always want to be careful about just dropping in and trying to build solutions for problems you don't understand. So I'm lucky to have been really steeped in it, so then I can come and build solutions to problems I do understand.
That makes a whole lot of sense for sure. What about the business side of your dad? Title for me it's very much a relationship business, right? So what was that like growing up around your dad and seeing the relationships he's built with the agents in y'all's community?
Yeah, it is. I will be very interested to see how the business development side of Title grows and adapts over the next decade, but it is still very much relationally driven. Some of my father's best friends, some of my best friends are our clients or vendors in the industry, and we just stick around forever. And just like you value people who purchase your services, value you in the inverse. You value people that either you are paying or are paying you, but are doing a really great job year after year after year. That's something that it's really undescribably important at how important that is, both for business success, but also for your stress levels and your quality of life. High quality customers who build high quality relationships and that stick around over the long run give you low stress, and if something does go wrong, they will give you a little bit of slack and they'll want to make it right, versus really high touch, worrisome, or even just revolving door clients that are the inverse of that. So it is absolutely true. And even as much as I have tried to not make it about relationships, trying to scale it sometimes, and like I said, trying to solve problems I don't fully understand, right now it is very much that way, still very relationally driven.
Yeah, and I think it'll continue to be that way. I mean, look, agents value their clients, but they value getting that deal closed, right? And they need to know that there's not going to be a hiccup in title, because that is one of the things that can delay a closing. So building that trust and relationship over the years, I don't see it shifting too much away from being still a relationship-driven business. There may be technology added to it, efficiencies and process and things like that, but they got to be able to look you in the eye and know that when they send a file over, that it's going to get closed, and it's going to get closed on time.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to go in that direction exactly. It's going to stay relationally driven, but we're going to layer on technology to make it easier.
Yeah. So tell me, when did you know, or did you have a choice that you were going to get into the title business? When did that click for you?
This is actually a pretty funny story. It really was not forced on me throughout all of growing up. I worked during the summers to help out with some things, but then I went off to college and studied business, and then I actually went to the West Coast. I lived in California for a few years. You talked about hiking. I'm a really big hiker and spent a lot of time on the West Coast backpacking all those mountains. And then it was just before COVID. My dad called me and was thinking about what his retirement plan would be, and we've got a lot of great employees, but none that really wanted to take on the general the role of doing everything. And so he called me, and I came and learned really from the bottom up again, and then have kind of slowly seeped into the role. But it was never forced on me. It's almost conspicuous how little it was pushed. And since I grew up in it, since the business is older than I am, I didn't never know the difference. It was just like my dad went to work. And you don't really understand as a kid the difference between him, owning the company versus being an employee somewhere. So that really only came into my mind in adulthood.
Okay. What were you weighing were you going to stay in California? Were you going to come back to Virginia? That's got to be a culture shock. Where'd you live in California?
I lived in San Francisco.
Okay. So, yeah, definitely a big culture shock coming from San Francisco back to Virginia.
Yeah. Going from San Francisco to about anywhere is a little bit of a culture shock. I had a few years of I did some sales at ADP, which is a big payroll processing company. I also I spent a lot of time in the mountains. I actually spent one summer hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, which goes from Canada to Mexico.
Oh, wow.
I spent an entire 109 days just hiking. So I was doing the adventure thing, getting it out before I settled down.
Well, nice. That sounds like an amazing adventure. 109 days, you said?
Yeah, it's 2,600 miles.
Wow.
From the Canadian border to the Mexican border, yeah.
And so camped out every one of those days, or did you have some retreats where you come down from the mountains and hop into a nice little luxury hotel, or did you hardcore the whole time?
No luxury hotels, a few hostels, but pretty much you're camping every single night. You have your backpack on and you're hiking 25 to 35 miles a day, and you stop in town to get food when you need to, but you're just out in the wilderness. And it goes through all the mountains of the Sierras. So Washington State, Oregon, California, all of that whole mountain chain, you just get to see it all. It was a great trip. Pretty exhausting, but
were you
really,
with a group or just you?
Gabe, it is really hard to find people that want to hike 30 miles a day for 109 days.
Yeah.
The truth is, what happens is most people go out there alone, and then you find groups of people that are already out there and start hiking together. So I spent a lot of time by myself because I wanted to. I wanted to see what it was like to be by myself that much. But I also spent time with groups of people. They call them trail families.
Okay.
And so I spent times with little trail families where you hike with them for a week or whatever, and then wherever the wind blows. But it's hard to find friends who want to hike them.
That's pretty awesome. Bet that was a big experience. What was your takeaway from that? I recently took my family on kind of a little bit of sabbatical in Italy, and I had a lot of takeaways from that. What was your biggest takeaway that you got from that trip?
I had two really big takeaways. One was how much I value relationships in life. I really, I spent 109 days pretty much by myself.
Sure.
You come out of that really appreciating a lot of relationships that you maybe underappreciated before. So a newfound value there. And then also I was amazed at how much long-form misery I was able to withstand. We have a lot of comforts in modern life, and it was impressive and inspiring to see that I could be miserable for days or weeks on end and keep on finding it within me to keep on going.
Did you have
That's pretty inspirational.
Did you have some close break points? Like what was your most miserable? Like I'm sure your willpower grew over time, right? But like what were some of those times during that trip where you're like, I don't know, man, I'm about to call it in?
There were a few days where I woke up with frost all over my sleeping bag. Just woke up shivering in my sleeping bag and couldn't fall back to sleep because it was so cold. I've walked in the rain for 12 hours, rain and hail, and you just, at least in modern life, as soon as you're uncomfortable, you get out of the discomfort, right? It's like it's a reflexive action. But when you have to sit in it, it is informational that you learn. Like, what do I do when I can't get out of this profound discomfort, right? My shoes are soaked with water. I'm freezing. I have no food left for the day. There's no possibility of getting warm in the next 6 hours. I just have to sit in this. That's a unique experience that a lot of people haven't been through, and they don't know, what is on the other side of it.
That's interesting. Yeah. You hear people like, I can say in this situation, like I couldn't imagine doing that. Right. And I think a lot of times our mind isn't supposed to be able to imagine it. Right. But you have to have faith that when you're put in that situation, you're going to be able to endure it. Right. Yeah. That you're going to be able to, like I said, it's hard for people to go do that, go hike for 109 days. Right. But once they get in it, and there's no other option, right? There's not food. You got to keep going. right? You're going to be cold, but I think once you can understand that you're not going to die,
Yep.
things kick in. But like I had a buddy that went to prison, and I just kept saying, like, man, I can't imagine what you went through. And he said, you know what, man, you're not supposed to. You're not. Your mind's not supposed to think of those things. But when you get in it, you just have to deal with the situation.
Yeah, there's absolutely truth to that. That just you're there. There is no way but forward. Where the only way is through, and you find a way.
Well, I'll tell you, that'll give you some resiliency. I'm sure you drew upon that going from, 3,000 closings down to 500. So I mean, maybe it was a little bit of a prep to what you were coming into in the title industry, being able to see that, the horizon on the other side and some light coming through the end of it. What's your thought on the real estate? The situation of the real estate industry today? Do you see kind of a light at the end of the tunnel coming?
I mean, I hesitate to look into my crystal ball because it is not made of crystal at all. But it seems like we are through the worst of it, and hopefully, we'll see a brighter day here soon. But my take on this is far more zoomed out. I mean, we in this industry, it's always a cycle. It's always feast or famine. When it's really good, all the tons of businesses were closed in the middle of COVID, and we were going gangbusters because everyone was refinancing at record low interest rates, and we had our big payday then. And this industry and real estate in general, you have to be very disciplined, and you have to realize that it is not you. The market is the market, and when the market is really hot, you will do really well. But if you let that go to your head, and if you think you're going to keep making that amount of money indefinitely, you are wrong, and you will end up out of business. And I credit a lot of title companies don't make it 34 years. To my knowledge, we are the second oldest title company in Virginia. And the reason why, in large part, is my father's discipline to not let the purse strings go crazy when times were really good, and to not let it go to his head. I say we're like a title company's like a sailboat, and when the wind is howling, even if you have a mediocre sailboat, you're gonna go fast, right? But that doesn't mean that fundamentally you have a better sailboat than you did. And then when the winds are calm, that doesn't mean you have a bad sailboat. In fact, that is time for you to scrub the barnacles off, to repatch your sails, and to improve the fundamentals of your sailboat so you can go even faster when the wind picks up.
That's a good analogy. That's a really good analogy. And I think now's the time to scrub some barnacles off of the sailboat, because I do think it's going to come back. It's not going to come back in his 2020 and 2021 way, but we're going to get back to, 5 million people moving. We're really far off of that now, but, we're only about 1.2, 1.3 million off of getting back to that. And so that's what we're doing with our business, is that we're, kind of retooling and getting ready for the winds that are coming so we can take advantage of them. And, I'm sure it helps having your dad's knowledge there, because he's seen many of these cycles, right? I mean, he probably saw the 80s.
Yeah.
And
been through like 3 of them now.
Yeah, 09, and I'm sure he's been through them all. So it's good to have him. Good to have him there. How involved is he in the business?
When I need him. But he's enjoying retirement.
That's good.
He's enjoying retirement. Yeah. But going back just briefly, because I do want to tie it to Utility Concierge, is now's a great time for us. We've been with Utility Concierge for about 10 months, and that is improving the sailboat. Now is a great time for me to improve the fundamentals of our business, to find ways to add value that other title companies aren't thinking about, so that our sailboat can go faster, so that when things do pick up, or even now, we're offering our clients an elevated experience. And that's was my whole vision. I was looking for, hey, utilities are a pain. There are a ton of research for buyers. There's never a clear way to go about them. How, with the limited resources that I have, can I deploy some sort of solution to make that a more streamlined process? And so, I saw it's been about a year, because it was right after New Year's. I was at the beach, and I saw an ad from you guys, either on Facebook or Instagram. And I'm not the end user, but I was really excited, so I reached out. But that's where our partnership comes from, is wanting to improve the sale book.
Was it the video? Was it the Dollar Shave Club-esque video that we did?
Man, you know what? Yes, it was.
Yeah, I think so. That was fun. That was a super fun video to do. We're going to continue to work with more title companies. I think title is almost the clearest partner for us to work with, because we literally replace that piece of paper that title companies give their clients at closing with a human, right? Mm-hmm. And giving somebody a piece of paper at closing is maybe the worst thing you can do, because they're closing. So now they have to go do all this research to try to get their stuff turned on before they move into the house, which is probably that afternoon, right? Exactly. And you're not going to be able to get that done. So we're really excited to work with you and other title companies that get it, right? I mean, titles, one of the most integral parts of the closing process, right? That's the legal. That's you've got to abide by the law, and you've got to make sure that everything's taken care of. And so it's a great gift for title to give to their clients. And I like the way that y'all do it. Y'all do it early in the process, and that's the biggest win for your client. Is that, look, you've got a guy for everything in the real estate transaction, right? You've got a realtor, you've got a mortgage, you've got insurance, you've got title, but the biggest pain in the butt thing in moving, one of them, is turning on your utilities. And so now you're either those your team gives you nothing, or they give it to you at the end of the process, and it creates more stress. So I love the way that y'all have integrated into y'all's process, and I'd like for you to talk about a little bit about that, what that integration's been like, and how smooth it's been for your team.
Yeah, and I think we always want to make sure, as a title company, we win when we elevate the agent. And so it's a great way for us to also take stress off the agent, because I have been in closing so many times, and it's been an afterthought. Hey, we got to get the water on, by tomorrow, and we got to scramble to get that information. And we can just take that off of the agent. We can take that off my title team. It's just an absolute no-brainer. And the integration is really easy. I mean, we simply build a template email so that when we open an order, we automatically send your team all the information that they need, which isn't a lot. You need their contact information, their name, like when an anticipated closing date, and then your team reaches out. And then we did have quite a bit of drop-off, just non-response early on. So then we started CCing my escrow officers on your initial reach-out email, and then my escrow officers respond over that to give the client confidence that, hey, this concierge is really with National Settlement Services, and that this is legit, and that boosted our response rate significantly.
Yeah, we mentioned that. So we've been around since 2009, but we've been very exclusively, in the referral business. So we're not really public facing. So a lot of the times, clients will get this. I'm like, this is a scam. This is too good to be true. Like, they're really going to take this off my plate. But it's really great that y'all CC'd on top of that to boost the confidence and trust for the client, because it just makes it for a much better experience. They know who we are, and they're excited to talk to us once they get that, kind of third-party validation.
Yeah. And I would add on, I use this as a marketing piece. I mean, I say, when people ask me what separates me from the competition, when I meet with new real estate agents, I say, does your title company take care of managing all of the utilities for your clients? No? Great, I do. This is all backed by Utility Concierge, of course, but it's a service that I'm providing at no additional cost to to my agents and thus to their customers. And it's a big marketing piece.
Yeah, we like to say we make our clients look like rock stars, and that's what I'm saying. We're able to give you this tool to differentiate yourself in the market and really attract more agents and build that trust that we talked about that the title industry is built on. It's built on trust and service, and we're really excited to be partnered with you guys. It's going really, really well, and we're excited to partner with more title companies across the country.
Yeah. And it's nice also, title companies, we just do heavier volume, like per month, for you guys and for us. If I'm doing 50 closings a month and the average real estate agent is doing 2, just those partnerships are going to add a lot of value to more buyers faster. And and we come in kind of right at the perfect moment to hop in, where real estate agents are there for months and months beforehand, but we show up right when Utility Concierge needs to show up. So it's really a match made in heaven.
Yeah, when title gets involved, the deal's happening, it's getting serious, things are going to start moving fast. So it's a perfect way to relieve some stress off the client. And I love the way that y'all do it by giving us the client's information and be able to reach out on either your behalf or the realtor's behalf. Because by giving them something to do, it's just literally giving them something else to do. They've got enough going on. And that's really the premise, one of the principles that we're built on. Is like we want to reach out, let them know what we do, how we're going to help them, how we're going to make their move easier so it can just be taken off of their plate completely. And so partnerships like yours are very important because our goal is to deliver a mind-blowing customer experience, and anything that we can take off the customer's plate, it's better for everybody that's involved.
Yeah, and we've gotten no complaints from buyers or from agents that, this was an overshare, that in any way we, took advantage of trust. I mean, as a title company, I have access to so much personal information. I'm just handing over their email address, like that's it, and their name. And that's, for a service provider to assist them in a significant difficulty. We've seen zero pushback.
Yeah, I'm sure it's the other way around. They're probably really ecstatic to be able that y'all provide this service. And we're very much, look, if as long as you're clear on what we do and you want to go do that on your own, hey, more power to you. But we work with about 90% of our clients that understand what we do and they go, I do not want to do that. That is not something I want to do. That's not my happy place. Y'all the experts. We'll let y'all take care of it.
Yep.
So, well, thanks so much for your partnership, man. And I'm excited to see it grow as we get back to normalized numbers in the real estate world.
Yeah, me too. It's been wonderful.
Yeah. Well, thanks for spending some time with us today, man. If you're ever in Dallas, I'd love to connect with you in person. Like I said, we're probably going to do a trip to Virginia. My daughter wants to go on an RV trip there, so I know you're an outdoorsman, so I may hit you up for some pointers along the way.
Yeah, that sounds great, Gabe. Thanks so much for having me today. It was a real pleasure.
I had a great time with you. Appreciate you spending the time with us, and thanks for spending time with Connecting the Journey. And this is another great example of just looking back at life and the opportunities that it presents to us, and really understanding that life's a gift, and the challenges, the opportunities that we have along the way are what makes us better. So here's to looking forward with gratitude. Have a great day.